Don't do it without me. In other words, God, don't take your love away from me. God, you can take my car. You can take my house. You can take my job. But please don't take your love away from me. You can take the food I love to eat. But without your love, God, I'm nothing. While the feast of the Lord is going on, it's time for the greater in you to be revealed through His word. Said it is greater, greater, say greater, 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 greater. And this series on love has really been an eye-opener. Thank God for those of you who have called and said, thank you, Pastor, for teaching on love. It really has meant much to me. And I want to continue with this series today. According to Strong's exhaustive concordance of the Bible, the word love in the King James Version is listed 305 times. But I discovered something. Because everything you're looking for is found in the Word. If you're looking for peace, Isaiah 26:3, I will keep him in. Come on, help me if you can. Keep your mind stayed on the Lord. He'll keep you in perfect peace. If you're looking for joy, Nehemiah 8:10 says, the joy of the Lord is my strength. However, I found a classic example of deep love in this book of Hosea. I said a classic example of not just love, but deep love. See, deep love goes hand in hand with being obedient to God. As a matter of fact, I must obey and love God before I can successfully love you. The reason most people can't love is because they really don't love God. And here it is right here. When you don't love God, you don't even love yourself. I wish somebody would talk back to me in here. See, love looks past what we've heard or what we think we see. Love speaks with your heart and not with your mouth. And so God led me to this book of Hosea, and I want to pose it like this. Imagine you being a single person. And God comes to you and says, I want you to go and marry someone who's going to eventually become a prostitute. Come on, most of us will say, well, you know what, God, I'm all right. I'm good. But he says to Hosea, go and marry. Go ahead. A woman who's going to become a prostitute at some point during your marriage. Y'all, Hosea had to be a true prophet. It took true love and faith to follow through with God's given command. Let's look at the text. Hosea's marriage to Gomer was symbolic of God's marriage to Israel. And God uses this narrative to do three things. Number one, to expose Israel's breach of the covenant. Secondly, to announce Israel's punishment. But thirdly, to restore Israel through love. The major theme of Hosea's message can be summed up in three words: sin, judgment, and salvation. We fall down, we receive punishment, but in the end we get rescued. See, some people don't know when to shout, because let me tell you something, God could have allowed you to die in your mess. I wish I had somebody in this church today. God could have taken you out when you were out there doing your own thing. But thanks be to God, when I fell down, he allowed me to get back up. Yeah, he punished me, but when he got me up, he dusted me off and he rescued me. Am I talking to anybody in here who can say, I know I've been rescued? I don't deserve all that God has done for me, but because of what God has done for me, I've learned how to lift my hands and bless the Lord at all. I should have been dead, buried in my grave, but God, I thank you that you gave me another opportunity. So we fall down, we receive punishment, but we get rescued. Through digging deeper, I found that the text should really read like this, Hosea 1 and 2. Hosea, go take to yourself a wife who will prove to be unfaithful. Y'all, Hosea obeyed and he moved at God's command. This lesson teaches me that it's better to obey than it is to sacrifice. Because if God said go, you ain't got no other choice but to go. Hosea obeyed God. He went and hooked up with Gomer. Watch this. Hosea and Gomer had 3 children. Although Gomer was unfaithful, the Bible implies that Hosea was the father of all 3 children. This is just a side note right here. This is why it's good to study the Bible. When I was a younger preacher, in preaching from this same passage, I would say to the people of God, Hosea didn't know if these children were his or not. But at the E.K. Bailey conference last week, 2 weeks ago, I was taught this one thing. If the Bible does not say it, don't make it up. Now watch this. It did not say to Hosea, God did not say to Hosea, go marry a whore. It said, go marry a woman who will prove to be. Hosea and Gomer got together, had 3 children, and God himself divinely chose the name of Hosea's 3 children. The reason God wanted to name these children was to serve as a reminder of the broken relationship between God and Israel and to point to their impending judgment. Son number 1's name was Jezreel. This name Jezreel means God sows. And in a display of poetic justice, the Lord would eventually break the bow of Israel in the valley of Jezreel, because according to Hosea chapter 1 verse 5, it was in the valley of Jezreel that Israel's military would eventually be destroyed. And so I did a little research, and I wanted to know when was this prophecy fulfilled? Well, in 734 to 722 BC, Assyria came along and overtook Israel and reduced Israel from a nation to a simple province. Let me put a pin right there and tell you, brothers and sisters, don't, whatever you do, don't get beside yourself and forget God. Because God has a way of breaking us down. And maybe I should submit it like this. Sometimes God has to break us before he can build us. Oh, shucks. I wonder if I'm talking to anybody in this church today who can say, I know what you're talking about, Pastor Broussard, because he had to break me down. I thank God for where I am right now, but where I am right now ain't where I've always been. God had to remove me from me. God had to take some stuff away from me so that I could appreciate who he is. I know you're saved, you're sanctified, you're full of the Holy Ghost. But let me tell you something, that's why some people will never be able to appreciate Christianity, because you're too stubborn to let somebody know you were once on crack. Talk back to me if you can. You're too stubborn to let somebody know, yeah, you're Pastor Broussard now, but back in the day. If she was a female and was moving, he was on it. Oh, y'all can't get ready for that? Don't look at me like that, because some of you had the same testimony. If it was not for the grace of God, I would not be where I am right now. Thank God he broke me down, but in the midst of breaking me down, he built me right back up. His name was Jezreel. But then he moves to the second child. The second child's name was Lo Ruhamah, which means not loved. Can you imagine a child being born and she's not loved? Her name revealed that the Lord's love for Israel was going to be cut off for a season. My brothers and my sisters, I want to tell you, you can make it without my love. Johnny, the truth be told, I can make it without your love. But your life is senseless without God's love. Life without God's love is like a ship without a sail. You're tossed to and fro. You have no direction. You don't know if you're coming or if you're going. I don't know about you, but there have been times in my life where I had to beseech God and say, Lord, whatever you're doing in this season, don't do it without me. In other words, God, don't take your love away from me. God, you can take my car. You can take my house. You can take my job. But please don't take your love away from me. You can take the food I love to eat. But without your love, God, I'm nothing. First child's name was Jezreel. Second child's name was Ruhamah. But we get to the third child because this was another boy. And the second boy's name was Loami, which means not my people. Y'all remember, this was God who said, give them these particular names. Jezreel, I'm going to break the bow of Israel in the valley of Jezreel. Lo, Ruhamah, I don't love them anymore. And then we get to the third child, Loami, which means not my people. In the covenant God had with Israel in Leviticus 26 and 12, God declares, I will walk among you and be your God, and you will be my people. But now that the relationship has been severed, Yahweh, which means the I am God, is now saying through this name, Loami, tell Israel, I am no longer going to allow them to experience my saving presence. Listen. The only reason you're still alive is because God did not remove his hedge of protection. Lest you think you're all that and a bag of chips, I came by to tell you, I love the presence of the Lord. Came by to tell you I'm nothing without him. But the good news is that for those of you who have rejected God and no longer live for God, the good news is this: you can still come back to Almighty God. The Bible says we all, like sheep, have gone astray. But can you help me help your neighbor by telling your neighbor he's the God of another chance? My brothers and my sisters, a life without God is a life not even worth living. And so watch this. Because Israel got to this point by way of the way they treated each other, but indirectly because of the way they treated God. So I looked in Matthew chapter 25, verse 40, and it reflects this: the way we treat one another reflects how we treat God. And so I don't want my disobedience to cause God to remove his presence from me. Well, I think I've held you long enough, but I thought about something Teddy said the other day. Teddy said it's so good loving somebody that somebody loves you back. But in chapter 2, Hosea is looking at the fact that Gomer is now cheating on him. And he gets fed up with Gomer's infidelity, and he tells the children, since your mama won't come home, I've tried to hide her lifestyle from you, But since she won't come home, go and tell your mama I'm through with her. Since she won't come home, tell her I'm going to leave her alone. But I think I need to tell you, the reason we can't give up on others is because God didn't give up on us. For somebody who called it quits and said, you're finished with the relationship, I want you now to watch the shift in the text. Because Hosea, just like God, had a change of heart. Hosea says, I'll fix it to where she has to come back to me. I'll let her run until she can't run no more. Beloved, sometimes God has to let you hit rock bottom just so that you can discover He's the rock on the bottom. And so in chapter 3, God tells Hosea, go and show your love for Gomer by going out and finding her. This act of love was symbolic of God's love for Israel. Come on, Santo, let's ride. Since Israel wouldn't come back to God, God went and found Israel. And He says to Hosea, go find your wife. And when Hosea went looking for Gomer, he found Gomer on the auction block. Can't you see Gomer? She's torn and beaten, living the life of a prostitute. She don't look like she did when Hosea married her. I wish I could paint this picture for you. Yes, her body was all torn and beaten from the perils of prostitution. But I saw Hosea when he went to the auction block and had enough love in his heart to say, it doesn't matter how you messed over me, I'm still gonna take you back. I want to know, how deep is your love? Because Hosea had a true deep love. He could not just go and say, Gomer, come on and go with me. But the fact of the matter is, he had to go in his pocket and pull out money and buy his wife. I wish I had a witness here. I said he had to go in his pocket, pull out his money, and buy his wife back. Y'all, isn't that just like God, who had a deep love for us because we strayed away, went doing what we wanted to do, went whoring after other gods. But thanks be to God, He came and found us right where we were. I'm closing, brothers and sisters, but when I think of Calvary, it reminds me of God's deep love. I was a sinner on my way to hell, but thanks be to God, He gave us Jesus, and Jesus gave His blood. I wish I had a witness here. They hung Him on a cross, pierced Him in the side, nailed His hands, spiked His feet. He died, then He died, but Sunday morning, He got up with all power in His hand. Grab your neighbor's hand and say, neighbor, I don't know about you, but I don't deserve the love of God. I've done some wrong, somewhat so, until I can't people about the stuff I've done. But I came by to tell you, God sits up high. He looks down low. Slap that neighbor with a high five and say, neighbor, he knows what you've done. He knows who you are. And I came by to tell you, he loves you just as you are. I thank God today. He loves me dirty as I am. He loves me smelly as I am. Won't he pick you up, put you in his arms? Won't he rock you? Hell, I got a witness. I need to tell somebody he loved you so much until he came to the crack house and pulled somebody out. He loved you so much until he went in the whorehouse and pulled somebody out. Y'all don't look at me like that. He loved you so much until he met you at your own house. Gave you another chance. And you mean to tell me you just don't sit there like a bump on the lawn? Lift your hands, lay your head back, tell God thank you. You've been good to me. Tell God thank you. You brought me. From a mighty long way. And if you and I were Hosea, and God said to us, go marry this person, even though at some point in the marriage, they're going to become unfaithful. Hosea heard what God said. He did what God said do. Because here it is right here. It does not matter what you think. What matters is that God can keep you while you're thinking.
Thank you for supporting this ministry. Join Reverend Darrell W. Broussard and the Greater Pure Light Church for any of our anointed worship services every Sunday morning at 8:15 and 11 o'clock a.m. You're also invited to share with us during our weekly Pastor's Bible Study each Wednesday evening at 7 o'clock p.m. We're conveniently located off of Highway 59 in Northeast Houston. Our address is 12330 Vickery Drive, Houston, Texas 77039. To order today's message, call the number on the screen or visit our website. We ask that you prayerfully consider donating to this ministry to help us spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. For more information about Reverend Darrell W. Broussard and the Greater Pure Light Church, visit our website at www.greaterpurelight.org.